basically I was like, give me more money or I'm done. Hello everyone! For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome, subscribe! For those of you who are subscribers, thank you. The support is always appreciated. Today I wanted to do kind of a story time related to my career path. There have been times when I've had to negotiate salaries, where I've had to leverage my experience to get an increase in pay, and I kind of wanted to do that video today. As a woman, it's very hard to leverage more pay because historically women of color have gotten paid less. So this is a story about how I got more money and what I did to do it. It was very unorthodox. I don't recommend anybody doing what I did. It's just an example of how it went for me and how people try to play you. You can't let people play you in your bread, okay? All right, let's jump right in. So I was working for a place that I will not name because it's a very big place. It was in Connecticut, and essentially I'd been there for about, this is when I was in college, I had been there for about a year and a few months. And you know, the pay was better than the place I was working before, so I wasn't really too upset. I was learning so much, like being in that environment. I was learning a lot about the medical industry. I was learning from all different divisions of medicine, inpatient, outpatient. I was learning a lot of different things, so I really appreciated the experience. It was getting close to my graduation, so I graduated in May 2016. So around that time, I had realized, man, I am busting my butt for these people. I was working maybe 30 hours a week and still being a full-time student, and I thought that me putting so much work into them that they would put it back into me. I would do stuff that I didn't even have to, reorganize things, you know, fix systems, kind of, you know, help them with the logistics of how that division of that company was working. And you know, I always got that, you know, pat on my back, pat, pat, pat. I don't want to pat, I want you to pat my check.
I need my money, run my money, or run me my round, because now I want to fight.
That's what I wanted. And they weren't doing that, so I was getting really frustrated. So there was a time where there was a discussion between me and my colleagues. Sidebar, I highly suggest not having a conversation about money with your colleagues. Because if you're making more, it's going to cause problems. If they're making more, it's going to cause problems. And that's what happened that day. So my colleagues were telling me how much they made. And I was like doing the numbers in my head. I was like crossing it, carrying the one, doing all this extra math. But I just realized that they were making more than me, period. And I thought, and I was wondering, okay, let's see how much experience I have. I have this many years of experience. They have this many years of experience. However, I am a college graduate. Well, not yet, but it was like 2 weeks away. But, you know, it was very close to me being a college graduate. And I was like, okay, I almost have my bachelor's. I have my license for this specific job that I'm working. I'm very capable. I work more hours than anybody, and I'm putting in so much effort. Why am I getting paid less? So at that point, I told myself, you know, it wasn't really about the money, it was about the principle. And I'm very, very a firm believer that a company should invest in the employees who are loyal. And I was so loyal. So many people had quit, and I didn't. Because I really, really liked my boss at the time, and you know, I believed in what we were doing. What I ended up doing was, I thought about it, I went home, and I said, okay, to myself, I had a whole conversation with myself. It was crazy. But I had a whole conversation with myself, and I was like, okay, if these people see all this work I'm doing and they're not paying me what I deserve, I should just quit. I'm about to graduate anyway, whether I have a job or not, just quit, you know? It's about the principle. So I went in one day and I asked my boss, I said, okay, well, I need a raise. That's exactly what I said. I walked right in before my shift even started, and I said, okay, I need a raise. And they gave me some sort of thing like, oh, you have to talk to budgeting or finance or whoever. And I don't think my boss thought that I would actually do it. So I told my boss, I said, look, I'm about to graduate. You know what I'm capable of, so I need you to pay me more if you want me to stay. And I knew they were short-staffed. That was my leverage. That's the only reason why I was so bold, because I knew if I quit, they would tumble. They would tumble because I put in place so many different great things that I knew how worked. And if I left, who was gonna train the new person? Because I was the person who trained new employees. So at that point, I was like, okay, I have a lot of leverage here. So I went to finance. Right after she said that, I got up, I brought my coworker with me actually, who was making more money. And we went upstairs, sat down, and I was sat down with finance and I was like, do you have a minute? And you know, he didn't really seem very pleased with my attitude. Apparently he said I was hostile. He later told my boss that I was hostile. I do not believe I was hostile. I feel like I was just like this. I was very calm, but who knows, you know, the memory is a little furry. So I went in his office and I sat down just like this and I looked at him and I said, okay, well, I will soon be a college graduate. That was also my leverage. I know that this department is short-staffed. I need a raise or I quit. That's all I said. Basically, I was like, give me more money or I'm done. And he looked at me and I said, my colleague makes more money than me, I'm not sure why. And my colleague, she took that opportunity to be like, I need more money too. So I was like, okay, I don't know what she's asking for, but I know I need more money. And they looked at me and he was kind of like, oh, okay, well, we don't have the budget for it. That was it, end of conversation. So I said, okay, this is my 2-week notice, thank you. Got up, left, finished my shift, worked later than I normally should have that night, went home. A couple days passed by, I think I called out like twice. I had so many sick days, so like, I was using those sick days when I wasn't even sick. You know, I just would be like, okay, I don't feel like going to work today. You guys aren't giving me a raise. I would have quit anyway. Used all my sick days. And I think maybe like a week later or something like that, I got an email, or a couple days later I got an email and they told me I got my money. More than I even anticipated. I think I got an extra like $3-4 on top of what I was already making, and I was more than okay with that. And I ended up staying for a few more months until I quit because I got a job at Pfizer. Moral of the story is, if you know what you're worth, and you know if you go somewhere else, some other company will pay you more. And I knew that if I left this place, I could have gotten more money somewhere else. And I knew what I was doing for them. And I wasn't, you know, being greedy or anything like that. It was the fact that, you know, I'm a college student. You know that I'm struggling. You know, every college student is. You know that I'm about to graduate. I feel like if they really valued me as an employee, they would have given me the raise without even asking. Because they had the money in the budget. That's why they were able to move things around, you know? Stand up for yourself. As a woman, as a man, as a student, as someone who's 30, as someone who's 40, it doesn't matter how old you are. In the workplace, you should not feel afraid to stand up for yourself and understand what you are worth. Now, be realistic. I know there's some of you out there who are seniors in college thinking you're worth $100K annually. Dial it back, unless you dial it back, okay? Let's be realistic. Look at the experiences that you've had. And just don't let anybody, you know, play you when it comes to financials. You know, with that situation, I've grown a lot, I've learned a lot, I've had a lot of conversations with business people, and, you know, I know how to leverage salary now. I know how to ask for things, what to ask for. When I first started working for a contracting company through Pfizer, I leveraged so well. Like, my mom, when I told her the story about how I ended up getting my salary, she was laughing and she was like, I do not even know how you did that. But, you know, I know what I'm worth, and you should know what you're worth as well. So when you're at your job right now, when you're in the place of work that you are right now, think about this. If you leave, will another company pay you more? Have other companies reached out to you saying they will pay you more? If you like the job that you're in and that is the vessel that you are supposed to be working through, think about it. Think about what the other offers are. Go to your boss and ask, and if they're not willing to give it to you, that is a big decision that you need to reconsider. You know, money doesn't always equate to value, but with a company, I think they should pay you what you're worth. So that's the end of this story time. I hope this helps somebody. Again, do not do what I did. I feel as though I was overly bold and I may have been hostile. Again, I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but needless to say, you know, stand up for yourself. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna keep posting YouTube videos, keep coming back, subscribe, I wonder if I could say that like 40 different times. Probably not.